Good evening. Welcome to episode number 18. This is the E.A.T podcast. I'm your host, Jerry. Tonight, we're going to have a special one-on-one interview with Sandro Piancone of GGII. Russ will not be with us tonight. It'll just be a one-on-one. We will not get into the sports and everything else like we usually do. It'll just be an episode focused on the one-on-one interview and into the stock and everything about a company that is disrupting the world in smoking and everything else that they're involved in. I'm very excited about this. So welcome to the E.A.T podcast, Sandro Piancone. Welcome.
Jerry, thank you for having me on. Honor to be here. I'm sorry we were going to miss Russ tonight, but we'll have a good time, me and you.
We will, absolutely. So let me just get into a little introduction about you for one sec. You're a serial entrepreneur. You're an Amazon best-selling author. You've authored and published books about selling products in Mexico. Some of those titles include The Secret Treasure Map to Selling Your Products in Mexico, 3 Things You Need to Learn Before You Franchise in Mexico, and How to Sell on Amazon Mexico. These books are basically a complete guide on how you can sell your products and your goods in Mexico and how to do it the easiest way. You've worked with and sat on numerous boards. You've consulted on issues pertaining to labeling, trademarks, import permits, marketing strategies. You've also been known as the Mexpert, I've seen, and you've also been called the secret weapon if you're looking to penetrate the Mexico market. Some such companies that you've worked with are Miller Beer, Thrifty Ice Cream, Dunkin' Donuts, Roma Food, Rockstar Energy Drinks, Little Caesar's Pizza. You've also been referred to as an unmatched expert in helping businesses and businessmen get their goods into the marketplace. You've generated hundreds of millions of dollars in sales and profits for these people and their companies as well. You recently co-authored a book titled Hemp Cigarettes Take CBD and CBG Industry by Storm. A white paper hemp farm bill catapulted CBD and CBG companies into the front stage. What has happened since? You're also working on a new book. You've also been featured in a Netflix hemp documentary titled Barely Legal, which just debuted at the Sonoma International Film Festival, Summerfest 2021 on August 7th. You're also the co-founder of Hempacco and the CEO of Green Global International Inc. The stock ticker is GGII. You're the man behind the movement that is disrupting the $1 trillion tobacco industry. Welcome to the show, Sandro.
Well, thank you so much, Jerry. Appreciate the introduction. And yes, we've had a long history doing business in Mexico. And funny story, people ask me, how did an Italian kid from New Jersey end up taking products into Mexico? And long story, but after 20 years doing business in Mexico, we actually own the trademark Mexpert. We helped all these companies get into Mexico. We had 5 distribution centers throughout Mexico distributing product to every single state in Mexico. So sold that company at the end of 18. The hemp bill was passed, and we pushed all of our chips into the hemp industry, which is the industry we're in now, both from hemp smokables, which is disrupting the $1 trillion tobacco industry, and smart technology kiosks to roll out hemp and CBD products in supermarkets and convenience stores.
We're going to get into all that stuff. And by the way, there's a lot more I could have added into that, as long-winded as I was, but it's very impressive with what I've seen from looking you up. It's very impressive resume, very impressive work history that you
well, thank you. I need to mention I'm a proud dad of 2 M&Ms, Michael and Maximo, and my wonderful wife, Kim, and we live here in San Diego, California.
Let me ask you, how is San Diego? I've never been, but I hear that the weather is just perfect.
Well, 75 degrees, but that's usually in January also. So you would expect it in August, but it's in January or February.
Okay. So let's get into it. At the age of 10, you started placing video games in retail locations like pizza shops, restaurants, bars, cafes for a friend of your dad. And at an early age, did you know that this is the route you wanted to go? Did you want to be involved in business in some, shape, way, or form? Or was it just about the money and then you rolled into this down the line? What's the story behind how you got involved with all this?
Well, I'm a son of Italian immigrants. My parents came from Italy with nothing. They didn't speak any English. So they were entrepreneurs. They owned different pizza shops and food distribution companies. So I grew up in the food business, but I used the word hustling. My hobby was I liked collecting comic books. I started when I was 10, and it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, I saw that you have an expansive expansive collection. You also collect autobiographies that are signed as well.
Yeah, like from Ray Kroc and Henry Ford and just different books that I enjoy. And so I collect them signed. But, one thing is buying a comic book when it comes out every month, and one is collecting them. So when I moved to San Diego, among other things, I didn't know we had the largest comic book convention in the world, which is
Oh
the San
yeah.
Diego Comic Con.
Yep.
So I've been going since 1978.
So I got to ask you, and if you want to lie, it's okay. But do you get dressed up for that, or you just go with regular
When I
clothes?
was young, I used to get dressed up, but now I go to watch the people watch. So
Okay.
when you have an expensive hobby like collecting comics, you got to hustle. And so 40 years later, I'm back putting kiosks into not restaurants, but supermarkets and convenience stores. But back then it was Pac-Man and Asteroid.
So let me ask you, while you were growing up, and even into today's world, who were some of the people you look up to, or idolize, or are inspired by in the business world?
So when I was younger, I looked up to my mom and dad, came from Italy, not speaking a word of English, provided a good life for us, opened businesses, worked hard. I mean, I'm not complaining, but my dad worked all the time. But that's what he had to do to support the family. So it was them. And as I got older and started reading, I'm a voracious reader. So, now people like Henry Ford, Tom Monahan from Domino's Pizza, Ray Kroc. Love reading those books. I try to read a book a week. So every time I read a book, I get a good idea or two good ideas for our business. Even though we're completely in different businesses, at the end of the day, it's about execution, leadership, management, and those things. So that's what I would say. Who my mentors were. Some you would never hear of, like a gentleman named Dan Kennedy from Glazer Kennedy. GKIC is one of my mentors in the direct response marketing field.
Okay. Yeah, not somebody I'm familiar with, but
look them up.
I'll look them up. Okay, so doing some homework on you. According to your LinkedIn page, you were involved in a couple of companies. You were involved in a wine company. You were involved in a logistics company, and some experiences I think were good. Some experiences were bad. What have you learned from being involved in those companies, good and bad, and taking that with you into the company you're in with today, Hempacco and GGI?
Yeah, so a lot of it is industries, a lot of it is timing, a lot of it is leadership, a lot of it's the right products. We talk about our success of in Mexico, but at the beginning we were in the consumer goods brand, so bringing U.S. brands into Mexico, which is sexy and it's exciting, but to do a consumer brand takes a lot of capital, a lot of marketing that you have to spend in doing that. And so our company pivoted. And when we pivoted to doing franchises and bringing U.S. franchises to Mexico, that's when we scaled higher. So from the outside, the building looked the same, the trucks looked the same, the people looked the same. What the service that we offered was a little different. So instead of going to a supermarket, a convenience store, our trucks backed up to a Dunkin' Donuts or a Little Caesars Pizza. So So it's timing. 2008, not only was there a peso crash in Mexico, you had the swine flu. All sounds familiar. What's going on now in the world?
Yep, absolutely. And dealing with that then is definitely, I'm sure, has you prepared for dealing with it now.
Yeah, not easy, right? Challenges, businesses closing, that kind of stuff. But I think we're better situated today than we were, even 10, 20 years ago.
So Hempacco was founded and created in early 2019. You and Jorge Olson are the co-founders. Tell us a little bit about him. How did you meet him? How did you get intertwined with him? And what was the behind the scenes thinking with, hey, we're gonna join together and create this company?
So I met Jorge. So I live here in a city called Chula Vista, but I met Jorge 2,000 miles away at a trade show in Guadalajara.
Wow.
Called UNTAD, and it's the largest supermarket trade show in Latin America. He was there representing some beverage brands in Guadalajara, U.S. brands in Mexico. I was there with our cheese company, started talking, and found out that we're quote, quote neighbors. We live 3 miles away from each other. Understood his background, his ethics and what he does. So we've worked together for the last 13, 14 years. I don't know exactly, on different projects. We owned a company that had the Miller Beer distributor. He was instrumental in helping with that. And so we always have other investments, other things. When we were ready to start this, he's the best chief marketing officer a company could ask for. So we asked him to come on board and be a co-founder.
Okay. And now you're also doing the reverse merger podcast with him, I see. How is that going?
So it's going good. We, both of us have large followings on both our LinkedIn and other places. So people we've mentored, people we've done business with in the past, him more than us. When you're an author and you've done books, you get a following. People follow you on email, call to ask questions, do business with you. And so the podcast was really just to tell our story on how we did our reverse merger and what you need to do to be successful and explain all the challenges. There's always challenges. Every day there's a new challenge. And so really it's a way for us to explain it and put it in a book that we will then, the podcast will become a book that we'll be able to publish and tell our story.
Okay. And just before I get into the company itself, just to educate some people and go over some things real quick, there is a difference between marijuana and hemp, which I just found out not too long ago. I thought it was all basically the same thing, but it's not. The easiest way I think I can explain it, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, hemp doesn't get you high. It's basically, it doesn't have a significant amount of THC in it, and THC is basically what intoxicates you, so to speak, where hemp only carries 0.3% of THC, and any higher level of that, it's considered marijuana, where marijuana itself does carry around 20%, 25%, or even more. At those levels, you start to feel high and you are intoxicated by it. But is that correct? Is that a good way to explain the difference?
It's 2 different plants. So think of it as the same family under the cannabis sativa. 2 different plants. One gets you high, and one is more medicinal. If you've heard of CBD, which I'm sure you have,
Yep.
CBD oil comes from hemp. And so what we've done is a lot of people already jumped into farming. People have jumped into CBD, and people have jumped into other products, delivery vehicles. Our hemp cigarette is a delivery vehicle for CBD.
Okay. And now as the federal government and states are legalizing marijuana, do you think this is helping your company or hurting your company, or a little bit of both?
I think it helps from the education standpoint. It's a totally different product. So if me
Yep.
and you were a Miller beer distributor and someone was selling tequila, they're both alcohol, but they're really not the same thing, right? They're 2 different things, right? So
Yes.
what we believe in, it helps the education. We believe the dispensaries are great in the sense of if someone has different ailments, if different things, and they smoke marijuana or take marijuana, it helps a lot of from inflammation to different things. So we're believers in it, and it's just an educational part. But just on that thing, and it's my soapbox, but when I say make it legal, the right way is not some government official giving an award to one of their friends to open a dispensary. If it's really legal, you should be able to go into a Rite Aid or a liquor store. Instead of buying a pack of Marlboro or a Miller beer, you should be able to buy a pack of marijuana cigarettes and be taxed there. You don't need to go stand in line at a special dispensary. But never mind me complaining about that. We can go on to more important things.
Okay. So one of the products you have is Real Stuff Smokables. And on your website, it's only available in the US. When will that be available internationally? And what are...
Oh, it's available right now internationally. Matter of fact, we've shipped to Canada. We can ship anywhere where it's legal.
Okay.
So we've shipped to Canada, we've shipped to Switzerland, we shipped to Spain, we shipped to, when I say ship, to a distributor. So we've taken a case, we've taken a pallet, UPS picks it up and takes it there. What's not convenient is someone going online, ordering it, and you shipping a package, and it could take 30 to 60 days to get.
Correct. A regular person in Canada cannot just go to your website and order,
Right.
A pack or a carton or whatever and get it shipped. It's got to go through a distributor in those countries.
Right.
What countries are down the line coming up soon where you're going to be available? Can you give us a little insight on that? Is there anything lined up?
Well, every day it changes, right? We're talking, I said we shipped to Switzerland, Spain. We were on the phone the other day with a group out of Gibraltar, which is a big area for duty free. I'm 500 feet from the border, and I am the Mexpert, so I am waiting for
Yes.
Mexico to open.
Yep.
Mexico is not legal to import hemp and cannabis, but when it's ready for hemp, we will be the first ones in there to do it.
I'm sure with your experience, you're going to be well known and connected there, and it's just going to explode.
We are set up with distribution and everything ready to go.
Okay. I want to get into some marketing for a minute. When you come out and say that you're going to disrupt the $1 trillion tobacco industry, that's going to catch some eyes. I mean, that is a bold, big statement. Referring to yourself as a unicorn company, or the unicorn emojis that I've seen involved with people tweeting about your company, is pretty big and eye-catching as well. Do you think that your marketing is sufficient, or are there things you're working on with marketing?
So, like any company starting out, of course not. What you see today and what you see a year from now and 5 years from now will progress. That's obvious, right? That's obvious. One of the things is it takes capital for marketing. And also, we're hiring new salespeople. We're putting brokers in place. It's a broker network that is putting out there. So remember, we started when we actually got the factory open was January of 2020. We ran right into COVID. Okay.
Yep.
We're old fashioned. We like getting on a plane, going to see stores. We like going to see distributors. We want to go to a trade show. And so those things were all close to us. So now things are opening. Trade shows are for what we do. People need to see the product, taste the product, open it, smell it, close deals that way. So the marketing, that is all representative. As we open an area, then marketing is for the pull through of the product. So if we have 200 stores, 300 stores in San Diego, we will do marketing to do pull through. As we open Orange County, that does it. So the answer to your question is that obviously the marketing today is going to look a lot different from the marketing a year from now. We know what it takes to do it. We've done it at other companies, and we have a game plan and a marketing plan to do that. But it's many, many things, put it all together.
So recently, you guys put out a PR that you signed a marketing agreement with Neighborhood Market Association. Can you tell us a little bit about that deal and how that's going to work out for you guys?
Sure. So it's a local organization, been around maybe 30 years to help the small mom and pop markets, liquor stores to compete. So it's a buying group. They also do marketing together. We've known the group for about 5 years now. We were endorsed by them, so they came out, saw the factory, saw what we were doing. We had to get them a legal opinion so their stores could sell it. And now they're endorsed, so we're in their magazine. When they have shows, we go to their shows. They get a discount, let's say a buying discount to be part of the store. So it helped. And there's probably 1,000 of those that need to be done. That's what we call guerrilla marketing. Mm-hmm. And there's probably 1,000 of those associations throughout the U.S. So maybe Asian American, Mexican American, Italian American, different associations throughout the U.S.
Okay. And let me ask you, how do you feel about social media influencers? And I'm going to preface this with two different types. You have the people who can push your product on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter with a product placement. So they're hanging out with their friends and they're smoking, and then they say, hey, this is what I'm smoking. Something like that. Or even on a podcast like this, if we were both smoking, we could say, hey, what we're involved with. Is that something you guys will entertain, will get to, or against? Is that something down the road that you want to be involved with?
So one of the things that we're going to be talking about, we have an expo called the White Label Expo, September 1st and 2nd of 2021 in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. We are one of the main booths, main sponsors. Jorge is the keynote speaker, and we're going to talk about influencers and what we're doing. But we as a company are not the people that say, hey, Gary, we like your show. You have 1 million people. We're going to pay you $50,000. We're old school. We need to earn. We need to eat what we kill. So we put together what we call an affiliate program. I think you know what an affiliate program is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Amazon made it famous. So yes, we are working on a lot of these people that are going to be there are influencers. They will have an affiliate program. So let's say they want to be on the podcast and smoke our hemp cigarette. They will have an affiliate program where they come on, they could order from their affiliate and they get a special gift. And as long as that client keeps ordering, we will pay them a commission for that. which for us, it would be marketing money. So we're all ready for that. So that's one thing that we're doing. The other thing we're doing is we're putting together several JVs with large celebrities that we're going to be announcing soon. We plan on doing it at the show. If all the stars align, the contract's already signed. We're waiting for their publicists and lawyers to do it. Where it'll be a little bit different. They will be promoting it because they're partners with us. Their name will be on it. There'll be certain brands and things like that. So that's what we're working on. But from a standpoint of course, we love affiliate programs. It's been done. Amazon proved that it works. Your market, us being here with your market, if there's 3 people that are listening or 30,000 people are listening and saying, I never tried a hemp smoke, which I hope you ask me why someone would smoke a hemp cigarette, we can explain it to them and they can try it.
Okay. Now I want to get into a different type of influencer for a second, and I want to get into stock influencers. And I'm not talking about somebody who's just pumping your stock and crashing your stock. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who would be a group of people and show the good things about your company, show and relate it to other companies that are similar to you, your competitors, somebody with a similar market cap, and say, hey, we're better because of A, B, and C, and you should become a long-term investor because of these reasons. Is that something you would want to get involved in?
So we have an IR firm that is working on those things. So there's shows, again, a lot of them you couldn't go to, but there's like the Roth Capital Expo. There's a lot of expos. There's some in New York where you get invited, you come to talk about your company. There are real investors that are there. You know, there's 2 types of investors. There's institutional investors, and then there's day traders. And so there's 2 types, and you have to market to them differently. And so what we want to do is go explain our business plan, have an analyst come and kick the tires. And we offer to kick the tires to an investor. If you were an investor in our company and you put in $1,000 or $10,000, we would invite you to come look at the company, kick the tires, ask the questions that you would normally do. People like to know what our future plans are. We have no problem explaining our future plans if someone signs an NDA. But when you sign an NDA, that means you can't be in the open market and be buying the shares because it's insider trading.
And you can't exactly go run to your friends or family and tell them all this information.
That's correct.
As well.
So are we interested in that? Yes, that's what we're looking at. We are putting that together. It's an investor, let's call it a roadshow, an investor roadshow, and that's what we're planning on doing. I guess one of the questions you asked when the company Hempacco started in April of 2019. We've actually merged with GGII, came official May 23rd. So we've been a public company for 84, 85 days.
Okay. And keeping with the social media influencer theme for a minute, I ask everybody who's on the show this question, and it seems like Twitter is the main source of communication for a lot of companies. So I'm going to ask you, do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it a necessary evil?
So I love it. And I love other ones also. So it depends on the market. I just explained to what we do. So I would say we have a bigger presence on LinkedIn than we do on Twitter. So between myself and Jorge and different chat, he belongs to different groups, or he started different groups. We have over 100,000 followers. We've gotten a lot of business from LinkedIn. So let's look at it from a different standpoint. If you want to know who you're dealing with before you deal with them, LinkedIn's better.
Correct.
Where Twitter, you don't know who you're dealing with, or a lot of people have a code name, which is all fine. That's fine with us. But from a business standpoint of doing business with someone, we like LinkedIn better, but they're all great. Facebook is great. TikTok is great. But again, it's the target market you're going after. For selling product, TikTok is a great way to sell product.
Okay, and then let me ask you. I mean, I dealt with this today. Twitter trolls, they're everywhere. You can't get away from them. I put out today on Twitter that I'm going to have you on the show, and the trolls came out like you wouldn't believe. So when someone criticizes you or something the company is doing, how do you handle the criticism? And do you actually step back for a second and look at it and go, hey, you know what? They're criticizing me in a way, but they have a good point, and maybe I should listen to them with what they're saying.
So let me put it to you this way. My job as the CEO is to grow the company, okay, make deals, sign JVs, look for distributors, okay. We have people that handle our Twitter. We have IR that looks at it. Of course, we understand everyone's different position on it, if they've lost money or they've made money. But as you can imagine, Jerry, when someone makes money, they're not tweeting and tell them how great and they bought a new car, a new house, which is fine. It's their money. They can do whatever they want. But when it goes down, they do it. Obviously, we can't answer everyone. We try to do a blanket answer, but that's not what they want. They want us to answer them personally. That's not something we can do or I can do. My job is to build the company, sell distributors, look for patents, design patents. We have a full-time job. We're here, we're up at 5 a.m. working until whatever it takes tonight. After with you, we have a dinner meeting that we're looking to close a distributor. So we look at them, we have someone look at them. We understand there's certain things. When things are good, we understand it. When things are bad, we understand that also. And
when you look, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And, there are certain times, what you can ask is, we go back to the Lincoln, someone says that they lost so much money or they made so much money. I can't see their stock account. I'll go to them. They have 0 followers. Maybe they're trying to short the stock. I don't know. Right.
Possible.
In the old days, my broker would call them and he would know that investor bank, Twitter's changed it all. Everything's been changed. Twitter's changed. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing, but with that comes some negatives, and we have to deal with them.
I want to single out one person who's been a very negative person in the stock community altogether, and just see if you'll answer an opinion. Give us an opinion on him for a second. Now, this is a guy that has quite a good following on Twitter, about 30,000 followers or so. He's come out and called your company a scam. He's attacked you and Jorge as scammers and people that you shouldn't be doing business with. Have you ever met George Sharp and seen what he said about you?
So I've never met him.
Okay.
I don't know who he is.
Okay.
He may be a lawyer, but I'm not sure. He said some negative things, but again, I've come out after people have asked me. I don't know who he is. And so I don't know what he means by a scam. I don't know what that means. He can come here. He can come visit my facility. He can now, if you don't like my business model, you don't like my business plan, I'm fine with that. Okay. There's a lot of business models and business plans I don't like. Okay. But that's fine. But why would he call something a scam if he's never come and met us? And we have a top-notch board of directors, and we have investment banks, some of the top in the world that we're talking to, and some of my clients are top in the world. So why would he say that? I mean, okay.
Yeah, he's been a very vocal person against numerous companies. I mean, he's basically got a Twitter page.
So I'm not the only one. So I'm not the only one. So if you look at a track record, maybe he's a shorter, or I don't know what. But I don't know him, and I've never done a deal with him. So what could he possibly have to say about us? So I think I lost you, Jerry.
It's disturbing, and it's also I'm here. It's disturbing, and it's also comical what this guy has put out there, and I'm just wondering if you pay attention to it. That's why I was asking.
Again, remember, my full-time job is to build the company and not listen to all those people. Again, if there's an issue, come see us and let's talk about it. But
okay, so a lot of noise has been put out about the share structure and 75 billion shares. When the deal was done and you guys reverse merged into GGII, 70.3 billion shares were roughly issued that became restricted. Sentiment with investors at this time went from all-time highs to, has gone down slightly to massively to today, where some people do categorize it as an all-time low right now. What do you have to say to investors who are concerned about the share structure? Can you explain to them if there's anything in the works on cleaning this up, or was this necessary and the share structure needs to stay the way it is for the foreseeable future?
So I think the way, so I've answered this before, but I'll answer it again. So it's no problem because you asked me the question. Okay. It's all in timing and how the deal was done. So I think that the most important thing that people need to understand, which they'll say, Sandro, I do, and it sounds you're being condescending, and please, Jerry, I'm not, is that when they own shares or when they bought shares, it depends when they bought shares in the company, okay? Because the timing is very important, okay? It was an empty shell. GGII was an empty shell. So everyone needs to understand that. It was an empty shell, okay? So today there's 3.1 billion shares in the float. Okay, that's an important number. Okay,
Yes.
3.1. When they bought in, there was probably 3 billion or 3,500,000,000. Now there's 3 billion, 1 million, 300, 100 million in the float. So that's an important number. Now, it was an empty shell, and now Hempacco came into it. It acquired Hempacco. Did we go and just issue shares for the sake of issuing shares? No. It acquired the company. At the time, the shares were trading at 0.0001. If someone goes and does the math, it was a $370,000 investment. Okay. So the 3.7 billion or 3.1 million is the free float of what's there. Now, people can say that issuing 70 billion, again, it was for an acquisition. So they could not like the acquisition, but it was put out there. There was an LOI. It was told what it was that was going to happen. So at that time, people could not invest, but it was disclosed that was what's going to happen. So it wasn't that we had this company and we were moving along and we got up one morning and said, hey, we're going to issue 70 billion shares. We acquired something. So the answer, I guess, to the question is, are we going to do something with the share structure? We did it. We acquired the company. We cannot go back. The only way it could go back is reduce the deal, which is not possible. And then Hempacco goes away and we're back there. But that's not how it works in the real world. And that's not what we want to do from that standpoint. So the valuation was set at the time and the 70 billion shares are there. We went to one of our investors. We needed to do something to get to where we need to be for the OTCQB. One of our investors converted 20 billion common shares to preferred. That was out there. We explained that. Of course, people were not happy, thinking we changed something around. We did not change anything around. That wasn't what we were doing. So just imagine, I know 70 billion is a lot of shares. I know that. So obviously an option at the time, 3.7 billion was a lot of shares. So maybe in hindsight, a reverse should have been done back then from 3.7 billion, do a reverse of 1,000 to 1, 2,000 to 1, get it to 3.7 million, a reasonable number, merge us in, but it would have been the same percentage. It would have been 95.5. Everything would have been the same. And so maybe there would have been 40 million shares outstanding, but the percentages would have been the same. So I understand the concerns, but from a stance of, I think our job is to explain what happened. Now, someone may not agree with it, and maybe that's the sentiment, but real value came into, let me explain it. Real value came in at what it was worth at the time. That's the best way to explain it.
And things have changed as we've gone over time now from that point to today, obviously.
Right.
So,
and Jerry, one thing we can't control, both ways, there's two things we can't control, is the stock price. Correct. We couldn't control it when it was at 0.001, and when it went to 16 cents or 10 cents, we had nothing to do with that. And we can't control it when it goes back down. As much as people text me, call me, email me, Twitter me, Facebook me, want me to do something, their solution is that we change the share structure or I think maybe they're asking us give us our shares back. And so when I've had calls with, you're not an investor, but if you were and you asked me to take the shares back from 70 to 20, I would say the same thing. You need to give your shares back, and that's what's called a reverse split. But that's not what they have in mind. So again, I hope I've answered the question, but yes. I don't think that's the answer that the investors want to hear.
Correct. I think people want to hear that you're going to buy back shares. I think people want to hear that you're going to retire shares, cancel shares, something along those lines. And if that's not in the plans, it's not.
Let's talk about buying back shares. Okay.
Okay.
We are a company that's growing. We're a company that's raising capital to do marketing, to get into 100,000 locations, to hire people. That's what we're doing. We're raising capital to do that. So for me to go to an investment bank or go to an investor in New York, a hedge fund, and say we're going to raise $5 million to $20 million, and they ask me what it's for, and I'm saying I'm going to buy back shares, they're going to laugh me out of their office.
Yeah,
that's not what you do.
In that.
You're going and you're raising capital so let's talk about disrupting tobacco. Okay. We're not the first people that did it. There was this little company called Juul, okay, that I'm reading a book on now that talks about, it's called Big Vape, and talks about all the challenges they went through when they had to scale from this little company. And it took them 5 years. Their first 3 iterations flopped completely. It was until they came out with 4.0, which we now call Juul, is when it started to work. And so that's what we're doing. We're out there. We're doing the right things to get the different patents that we're working on to build this moat around our company, so we can go on and attack the things we need to do and license it internationally in different countries of what we're doing.
Okay. Also, just recently, you guys put out your filings, and in your filings, you stated that you were looking to explore OTCQB, an OTCQB upgrade. How is that going? Is that something still in the works, or have you looked into this and said maybe this isn't for us, and you're looking at possibly a NASDAQ or another major market uplist instead?
So there's steps, right? So when we acquired GGII, which a lot of people don't remember, there was actually a stop sign.
Yes.
Okay. So there was a lot of paperwork, had to clean that up, filings and so on. Now, our next goal is to get to OTCQB. So there's a few things that have to be in place for that. And so we're doing that. So we have the application, we've had the board meeting, we're going to list on that the time it takes. That's another stepping stone. And the stepping stone is to get the NASDAQ. So 2 things have to happen. We already signed the engagement letter for our auditors. We're doing our audits, and then our S1 will be filed. That's another stepping stone to get to NASDAQ. We have enough assets to get to NASDAQ.
So for anybody that's impatient and is expecting it tomorrow, it's not going to happen. It's baby steps, but you eventually do want to get there when everything aligns the right way over time.
Yeah, well, there's steps that need to be involved. If you're asking me tomorrow, would I like to be on NASDAQ? Yes, but it's not the reality. There's certain things that have to be done.
Everyone would like you to be there tomorrow. I know that's not reality and that's not the way it works, but that's the way everyone wants it. They want you to go from 0 to $1 trillion tomorrow, from today to tomorrow, and the stock price to be golden and compete with the Amazons of the world. And that's just not reality. You're building a company from the bottom up, and it's going to take time. And yes, people do have to be patient. I get it. I hope they understand it as well. So also recently, you guys put out that you have 600 vending machines. They have advertising screens built in as another revenue stream, along with the machines itself. How many are out in the world today? And recently you signed a deal with Pelican Group and Suzo App Gaming Solutions. And how are those 2 deals working out as well?
Yeah, so let me explain those 2 deals, because those are operational more than marketing. So we have an agreement signed that we have not announced yet, more so on their side. They don't want us to announce it yet. From a supermarket, large supermarket, growing co-op, that we've signed the agreement. We're going to be putting machines out in the California market. So the next question they asked was, after it works, the test market works in California, then what? What's next? Okay. So the next is we had to have an answer for what's next. So they want to take us into Nevada. They want to take us into other places. So by signing the deal with the Pelican Group, we have now solved that problem. Okay. So now we can land a machine anywhere. So we will be putting them out. We'll be making an announcement as we put it out. We own the 600, free and clear. We are now wrapping them. We're putting them out to put them out in locations, and we will be making announcements on that.
Okay, great. And also, how do you feel about a subscription-based selling plan where it's like a monthly subscription and people can go to your website and sign up for that? Is that something you guys want to get involved in, where every month a pack or a carton or a certain number is shipped everywhere around the world?
Yeah. So anyway, we love the subscription model. Matter of fact, one of our joint ventures, Cali Vibes, we announced it a few months ago. I have some props I wanted to show you. So that's on a subscription model. So you buy 3, get 1 free. We're testing it. It's sticking. So you could order, and every month we ship it. So it works well. Instead of a product going to you like a tincture, you can't go to a party and say, hey, Jerry, here, try my tincture, right? It's not cool. It doesn't work. But you can take your smokes with you and do it. So we're testing that. We like that. It's working. We're going to start dialing it up and working. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. And you guys do have some competition in this space. I want to ask you about them for a second. There
Sure.
are companies that are similar to yours, and without naming them, just looking at them, do you look at these competitors and look at them and go, all right, company A or company B is doing something better than us. How do we improve ourselves in that area? And in the same context of that, do you look at something you're doing and are you afraid they're going to better themselves and better the competition against you in the same way? Well, the opposite way of what I just said.
So Jerry, obviously we learn a lot from our competitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's good things they do and there's bad things they do, right?
Yes.
Here's the difference though, right? And you can name them if you want, because I like using comps, because we're going to get the valuation in a minute. A lot of people, they always ask about valuation, and I love talking about valuation. I get excited when we talk about valuation. So let's talk about our competitors, right? So one thing is we know what we know, and we don't know what the market, and we don't know. Every state's different, every city's different, every county's different. Mm-hmm. So we're a factory and we do JV deals. So we have clients that we do like from Neurogen to Ace and Axel, who's shipping to South Africa. We have they're trying different things, different colors, different flavors. We just announced Creme, who's doing like a peppermint. There's different things we're doing. So we get to see what's working. We partner with them. So the better they do, the better we do. And we can put that out there and we can see what they're doing, right? So we're testing all those things. Marketing is very important, right? But we're old school. We like learning from history. Jorge is a beverage guru. He's written a book on doing beverages, consulting. So our model is the 5-hour model. We're going into every single liquor store. If you notice, this box looks almost the same as 5-Hour Energy, sits on the counter.
Yep.
Each little box, this is our Solito, our single stick that goes in there. Yep. And our plan is to put these in 100,000 liquor stores, convenience stores, and gas stations.
How close are you to that goal of getting to 100,000? I know it's a big number, but
it's a huge number. And so it changes on the distribution. So we go to trade shows. We're working with distributors to sign master distributors. We believe we'll probably need 30 or 40 master distributors who then will build out the market. It'll probably take us 2 or 3 years. But we started in San Diego, right? We started in San Diego. That's what we're working on.
And your facility is in San Diego, 50,000 square feet is what I've seen, produces 1.5 million packs monthly. So let me ask you, are you producing that much now? Or is that the grand number that you can get to when the demand?
It can, that's the capacity. That's the capacity. So obviously there's better months, there's slower months. We're not at capacity. That's a good thing. It can produce. And the other thing is we can add more lines. So as the company grows, we have enough space, we have enough machinery to get to that part. But the company does a lot of other things, right? So we have our consumer brands, we do joint venture white labels, we license our technology, we have our kiosks, we make hemp blunt papers that we send out to people. We have hemp blunt papers. So it's not just the one line with the one machine. There's a lot of things we can do.
Okay, and let's get into some of your patents and your tech for a minute. Everything you guys do is biodegradable, filter, paper, everything. So let me ask you, has any big tobacco company come to you guys and try to work out a deal with you using your IP?
So no, who has come to us are large cannabis companies. Okay. Some of the largest in the world, right? So keep in mind, the tobacco industry hasn't changed much in the last 100 years. Yep. And there's a good reason for it, right? A lot of them, it's working. So don't break what's not working. And the second thing, there's certain laws that they can't change, right? They can't change filters. They can't change paper. They can't do flavoring. They can't do this. They can't do that, right? So that's a big deal, right? In the cannabis and hemp space, that's not the case. It's the wild, wild west. So we're talking to these different companies about licensing our technology in Canada, in Switzerland, what we're doing in the US, and certain things like that.
And I recently just saw that you guys put out a PR that you signed a letter of intent to acquire the patent to make marijuana paper. What can you tell us about that deal? Is it close to closing, or are we still a few months out?
It's a few months out.
Okay.
We signed a deal. It's ours. We're going to start commercializing it. They're waiting for final. It's patent pending, so we're waiting for final approval. We want it approved that goes in there. But think of this. Think of if you were going to smoke your marijuana, your OG Kush, your sour diesel. Would you want to do it with white paper that has a lot of chemicals, or would you actually like to do it in the paper that's real? We think it's a huge market. We would own the patent. That's something that we can license all over the world or state by state in the U.S.
It's definitely an untapped market that you guys are definitely going to get into real quick as soon as this deal is done, right?
Sorry?
I said it's definitely an untapped market that you guys are going to basically hit the ground running once this deal is done, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we would do is we would go state by state and license the technology. But not only that, everything we've done, what we've put together is how to make a cannabis cigarette. So ours is hemp, but it's the same process to do marijuana sticks. Okay. So they can license our technology for infusion of terpenes in the flower, infusion into filters, and also into the other for the paper. So a company can license all three of them. They can license one of them. They can license none of them if they so choose. But we have everything ready to go to put it out there.
Let me ask you the important question, and I know shareholders want to hear the answer to this one. When are we going to see the benefits of these deals on the balance sheet? Is that any foreseeable future? Is it down the line? When are we going to start seeing money coming in from these deals?
So each one takes different. So some of the licenses are built into the agreement. So if we do for example, the Creme brand, some of our technology went into that. Why is that important? I want people to understand this. White label, if you've heard the word private label or white label, you can go to someone and say, hey, make me this drink, make me this thing. And then they make it. And then tomorrow someone else offers it to them for 5 cents less. They leave you and they go over there. So in this scenario, it's included. It's in the packaging. It's in the piece that's there. So it's part of the balance sheet as we keep going. But certain licensing deals, we'll announce them. If let's say a Canadian LP is using our license agreement, then it'll be a signed agreement. They'll pay per stick or a percentage of per stick.
Okay, got it. And let me ask you, tomorrow, if somebody came to you and said, hey, we want to buy your company, is it for sale? Is there a number you have in mind? Or are you ready to go with this and see where it goes a year from now, 2 years from now, and then would you think about selling if someone
obviously we're entrepreneurs. We love what we're doing, but at the end of the day, it's not my decision. It's the shareholders' decision. I do not own control of GGII. There's a lot of shareholders, probably over 50,000 shareholders, plus board, plus investors. So that's not a decision we would make. But right now, we're out building the company. We want to achieve our goals and do what we want to do to get where we want to be. So I think that's very, very important for what we're trying to do. Okay.
And someone asked me privately on Twitter, I think it was yesterday or today, have you guys explored the idea of a ticker change and basically changing it to hemp?
So would we be interested in that? So let's look at it. Let's look at it from a different point of view, right?
Okay.
Obviously, the one hemp has already been used. HEMP, GGII. So people look at their stock on their phone, right? That's how they do it. They look it on their phone. So just imagine GGII must be in 100,000 phones, maybe more. I don't even know. So from that standpoint, that's where it is. That's where they look at. But I do want to talk a little bit about valuation, Jerry, if you would so let me, and then talk about a NASDAQ offering. I see some people asking some questions. So we want to be transparent. People think sometimes we dodge questions, which we don't. We answer it. Maybe they missed that podcast, but we can do it here. So from a standpoint of, we're talking about different levels to get to NASDAQ. So there's certain requirements that NASDAQ needs, right? So it's different scenarios that you need, right? Stock price, assets, sales, number of shareholders, current, all these things that need to be there. So at this point, there is no reason for us to do a reverse split. It doesn't benefit anyone, the shareholders, anyone. But at the time, when we're ready to go up to NASDAQ and we need to be at $4 or $5, at that point, the board will look at it and see what our options are. And if a reverse needs to be done, we will do a reverse to get to NASDAQ. Okay. But today, there is no reason to do a reverse. I think I've answered that question maybe 100 times, but
and you'll probably get it 100 times more in the chat before we're done with this.
Okay. Let's talk about valuation, because I think that's the most important part. Again, we don't set the valuation. Okay, the stock market sets the valuation. So if you think I'm crazy, let's look back to March or April, please. Okay, March or April, please. Let's look back to that time. They were valuing an empty shell, which was GGII, at $500 million. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't in it. I had nothing to do with it. That's what they were valuing at it for. So yes, we can't control the market. Okay. Nor can I control that it's down where the price is now. Do I like it? No. We have, just from a standpoint of our job every day is to go build the business. But of course, we're talking to investment groups. They're asking why. We have the retail investors asking, but the answer is that there is no quick fix to other than build the business, execute, do the things that our market, our business plan calls for, and do what we have to do and execute our business plan. And that's what we're doing. Every day we come to work to execute our business plan. Okay. Two things that I think of, and I say this, please, and again, I don't want it to sound condescending because I don't want it to be that way. But certain people, when they Twitter, they send emails where, per se, they invested 100,000, they lost 100,000 or 50,000, that we got rich off of it. Obviously, they bought stock on the stock exchange and they bought it from another investor. So that 50,000 changed hands, and through TD Ameritrade, we didn't get any of that money. I think that's obvious, but to some people, I don't think it's obvious, right? The shares traded and people traded between themselves. So the company got none of the money that was traded.
When you buy $10,000 worth of your stock tomorrow morning, your company itself is not getting that $10,000. That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
That's correct. But from the texts and the emails, sometimes I think people lose trade it. Now, the fact that they're upset because their account is down, I completely understand. But also, you only lose money when you sell the stock. And people say, well, Sandro, we know that, but their account's still down. So I understand that. But again, they think there's some magic pill that we just, I don't know, get rid of 70 billion shares and then it all goes back to normal. But that's not how it works in the real world.
That's not the deal.
So let's talk about valuation for a minute, because I think it's very, very, very important. Okay. What we're doing is disrupting tobacco. Okay, that's our game plan. It's a lot like what Juul did, 5 to 7 years ago. This is what we're doing. We can look at comps. That's the only thing we can look at. Okay, that's what the other investors do, right? So that's what they're looking at, right? So they're coming to us. They're asking for comps. So they're taking our company. There's an analyst, and he's comparing us. So the closest one is TAT, which is TOBAF. Okay, TAT. It's a company based out of Canada that sells hemp cigarettes. Okay, so they compare us to that. And so an analyst will go and do his research and see what the sales are, the balance sheet. Do they own a factory? Do they have patents? And they compare us. Another one they can do is 22nd Century. Okay, XXII. They can go look at it, see what they do, and so on. Another one is HSTI, which is another one they can look at that has technology for disrupting tobacco. So all those things is what goes into when they compare us and see where we are. So if we want to look at valuations, that's what we look at. That's what the analyst looks at when we're looking at raising capital. So that's what we do, and that's how we do it. Is the 70 billion shares a lot of number? Of course it is. Is there a way to fix it? Yeah, you could do a reverse. So you could do a reverse and we could take it back to 40 million and do what we need to do. But that's not in the cards right now. That's not something we want to do. But can we do it? Yes. But 70 billion shares is a lot of shares. Actually now there's preferred, so there's 51 billion shares, but still a lot of shares. And to fix that, you could do a reverse. We are not contemplating that right now.
So the authorized share count is not maxed out at the moment, and I'm wondering, is there any? And I know people don't want to hear this, but I have to ask. I want us to be transparent here. Is there any dilution planned in the near future?
Well, I think there's a lot of misperception about dilution. So let's talk about dilution, right? Everyone takes dilution separate. So obviously, from 3.7 to 70, people say that's a lot of dilution. Okay. So there was a lot of dilution, but there was an empty shell, and now there's the company disrupting tobacco. You could agree or disagree, but that's called dilution. They're looking at the stock, the free trading stock, right? That's what they're looking at. They're looking at free trading stock. And that number flips a little bit. So they'll call and say, but Sandro, you said no dilution. You have to look at 3.7 and you have to look at 3.1. That means there's 600 million shares that were in the, well, let's call it 144 stock. So someone owned that stock for 5, 10 years, 8 years, 7 years. They probably bought it, forgot about it, and left it in their drawer. And then they woke up and said, hey, we need to have that. So that's how it works. And then they put it in. So to me, that's not dilution, but I get text saying that it got diluted. But there was always the chance it was going to go from 3.1. So if I go out and make acquisitions, okay, and I want to make a patent acquisition, and I believe it's good for the company, and the board believes it's good for the company, and I'm going to issue shares for that. Okay, it's called dilution, but you're bringing in an asset to the company. So we could raise money and go pay cash for the patent, or we can issue shares for the patent. I'm sure everyone, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback and say, hey, that wasn't a great acquisition, but that's fine too. So I think that's where dilution comes into. We don't ever issue shares for no reason. We don't issue shares for employees and things like that. So that's not something we do. If we make an acquisition, it's approved by the board, we'll stand behind it. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake. But we haven't said we made a mistake because we're still in the building of the business.
Okay. Just touching on the OTCQB upgrade or uplist that you touched upon before. Is there a price point that you guys need to be at to achieve that, or can you just do that if what are the few things that you mentioned align? You can just get to that, or do you need to be at a certain price before
NASDAQ?
You do it? No. For the OTCQB.
Yeah, there's different rules that are on there that we need to follow. Our attorney's working on it, and our CFO. So I couldn't tell you what those are right now, but we are working on it. We've approved to move forward on it, so we are moving forward on it, and we will accomplish what needs to be to get on there.
Okay, let me ask you, crypto is a hot topic nowadays with the rise of Bitcoin, the crash of it, the meme coins like Doge and other ones getting bought up and sold. Crypto, is that something you guys would accept for payment, or would you just not entertain it right now? Are you guys even able to handle crypto if you wanted it?
So it's a payment. It's another payment system. So obviously there's technology now. There's API that you could do to bring it on. So we are talking to both Bitcoin, Dogecoin, that we could accept it on our website or on our machines. We want to do something more creative than that. We want to look at it maybe a co-venture with another coin or something larger that we could accept at our kiosk. But that would be something differently we'd like to look at. It's an electronic payment system. So our machines don't take cash. We take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Apple Watch. So why not take a digital coin?
Okay. And is there anything you want to plug before we wrap this up? You gave me an hour. I have to thank you for this. I said, hey, if we could do 30 minutes, you gave me an hour. I really appreciate it. I love it.
Jerry, as I say, I get up in the morning. We're a consumer goods company. Our job is to sell hemp smokables. So we talked about the Cali Vibes. If you go to calivibes.com, we have a special right now. Go look at it. Buy 3, get 1 free. Hopefully you sign up for the recurring monthly charge. Our Real Stuff smokables, you can go there. That's doing very well. We do have a special up there, and we'll honor it for your listeners. If they buy 2 cartons, they get that free cool lighter that we designed and got built, and also a free pack of Delta 8. That's like a $40 charge for that. So those are the things that we're doing. We love people to try the product. Obviously we get beat up on Twitter, as you said. The positive, everyone loves the product. We will put our product against anyone's product. We're getting rave reviews on the product. Our hemp product not only is biodegradable, but has the technology of the infusion into the flower and into the filter. So when they see it, they can see what that product in comparison to any of our other competitors.
Okay, great. Sandro, I want to thank you for coming on. This was very informative, informational for me and all the listeners. This was great. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on with us. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Sandro Piancone. He is the CEO of Green Globe International Inc. The stock ticker is GGII. Sandro, thank you very much for joining us, and please stay in touch.
Thank you, and tell Russ we missed him. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up episode number 18 for tonight. We will be back next week with a regular show. We're going to cover sports and everything else. The replay of this stream will be on our YouTube channel, and the audio from it will be available on our Spotify channel tomorrow. So tune into that if you want to hear the audio while you're driving. Everybody have a great night from New York, and we'll see you next